Danny, your arm has such like muscular definition. Very adorable. I love it.
You can tell your boy's been
Turned
lifting.
on.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
But what I like most about your arms is HIMMY. HIMMY.
What a game, baby!
Some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets.
I thought we lost that game like 11. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to chase with the money line bet, and if I would have, we would have lost by 30. What a fucking ball game, man.
Oh,
Good thing you didn't bet it then.
I about 2 or 3 minutes into the third quarter, I told Missy we can go watch a show, and I'll come back and watch the game, like, and be able like get some commercial equity. So I was like way behind on the game, so I wasn't even texting you guys anymore about it or anything. So I basically watched it after everybody.
Well, I'm glad you made it so we could record.
Yeah.
We got a lot we're going over trying to tackle tonight. I think we're going to start with draft talk since that's the big thing going on Thursday, round 1 of the NFL draft. Then we're going to hit on some Premier League, maybe a little Champions League, a little Wrexham, and then some other random BS that's going on. I guess let's just dive into it, yeah?
Let's do it. Welcome to ChuggieBets, everybody.
Yeah, welcome. You guys are up to date on you got your mock draft, your big boards ready?
Yep. I'm taking a hooker early. That's all I know. I'm choosing a hooker and making that decision quick.
Yeah.
If I could lay a bet on biggest bust, it would definitely be Richardson.
I think everyone agrees. I think everyone on this podcast agrees with Richardson second.
Yeah, but everybody in the world doesn't. Like, because he's gonna go like 2 or something, right?
Every year, someone like becomes enamored with someone's like height.
Sometimes they're right, man. Sometimes they're right. Like Joe Flacco was a nobody before, and then all of a sudden he was a top 10 pick, and then had a really good career.
Yeah.
Is there a more Houston Texan pick than Will Levis at 2 when there's better athletes and better players at all the positions? Like that just feels like Will Levis is going to the Houston Texans.
I don't know. The Texans sometimes take like the best player. They did that with they passed on Reggie Bush to take no, they don't do it with quarterback, but they took the defensive end Marcus, I can't remember his name, but that was a long time ago.
Mario Williams.
Yeah, he was awesome.
They did take Deshaun Watson too before all the creepy allegations.
True. Okay.
He's pretty good. He was pretty good as a football player, not as a human.
But yeah, there's a lot going on with the draft approaching. You know, it's always when there's a couple days out, the boards start shifting. The guys that have been putting mock drafts out for 3 months, all of a sudden start moving guys around. You start hearing names that you didn't hear, and the big names start sliding down the board. And it sounds like the biggest thing is, so Bryce Young is expected to go number 1. That's like locked in. But like Matt said, Will Levis at 2 is picking up steam. That seems to be what the Texans are going to do at 2, which means some of these other like premier talents are going to be sliding down the board, but not far. I don't think. I still think these guys that were supposed to be top 3 picks, your C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Anderson, I think they're all still going to go high, just maybe outside the top 5.
So is Will Levis? Is his program, because his draft career seems to be going more like Justin Herbert than it is like Drew Lock, right? So he like had a really hyped college career, and then it kind of fell off in his last year, right? Justin Herbert like didn't perform real well his last year, so his draft stock, everybody thought he was going to be the number 1 pick, and then he wasn't because he didn't play really as well. I mean, playing for Mario Cristobal could do that to you.
Yeah, I don't hate that comparison. It sure feels that way. Although, I mean, I'm probably more down on Justin Herbert than most people. I don't think he's bad, but people think he's the best quarterback in the league, and he's not close to that, in my opinion.
He's not the best quarterback in the league, but like I even like I'm a little down on him. But then I went and looked at his numbers again, and I'm like, oh, he's still completing almost 70% of his passes. Yeah, he was down. Like he didn't average 7.8 yards an attempt this year. It was only like 6.9. It's still pretty good, you know.
Yeah, but I do think like the whole college performance to like NFL hype parallel is very apt for Justin Herbert and Will Levis. That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
And let me give Will Levis a little justification. His team this year was grossly depleted on the offensive line, so he was trying to survive the SEC, and he still did that okay. As far as college, the year before he had a much better team around him, so he performed better, but he could be talented. I think he sucks, but I'm also a terrible NFL talent evaluator.
Don't they drug test for like steroids in the NFL?
Oh, I think so.
Do you see like the pics Will Levis put out of him like beefing up? I'm like, oh, that's definitely on steroids.
Maybe he just finally got into a weightlifting program in Kentucky. He just doesn't have one.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I think Stroud's the way to go there, man. He just feels like he's the best one when we were watching.
I don't know. There's just like I know this is like a bullshit reason, right? Because the personnel changes and every guy's not the same. But it sure seems like Ohio State quarterbacks like do not do well in the pros.
Isn't there one that's doing really well for Chicago right now?
We were just talking about the guy from Chicago is pretty good.
Yeah.
One of us can remember his name.
Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
No, I know, but like I don't. Is he good?
He is when they let him run. I said this all through the podcast this year, man. He's not good when they don't let him run. If they try and make him a pocket passer, he's going to be trash. As soon as you let him run, he's going to be able to throw the ball accurately. It's just the kind of player he is.
And CJ Stroud has the best combination of wide receiver talent since maybe Miami in 2001. Smith and Gigba is amazing. And who's the Harvin Marison Jr.?
He was really good. He was really good. Yeah.
And they're getting another amazing talent this year, but we'll wait for the college podcast season pickup because this kid is going to be ridiculous. I have a question for you. If your quarterback is a strong proponent of putting mayonnaise in his coffee, does that give you more confidence or less confidence in his decision making?
Yeah, well, I think that's like a team leader, like he's willing to do anything for the team kind of thing.
Did he just like get the fat wrong and making the bulletproof coffee thing from the butter? He's just like
extra eggy.
Like
it's probably like a protein thing. It's probably like mayo has more protein than butter.
Oh, so like he did the grilled cheese thing where people think mayo is better than butter on their grilled cheese and they're wrong, but he's like, oh, it'll be better in coffee too.
Yeah.
Where did Will Levis learn this? What made him decide that man?
I'm assuming like QAnon.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's a Southern thing, but he's from Newton.
It's got to be a CrossFit gym, man. It's got to be something CrossFit people do that don't eat carbs, and they're like, "Oh, you just got to put some mayo in your coffee, bro."
I mean, I think we're saying the same thing, Danny.
Yeah.
The spot I'm really interested as far as just like a watching program is the third pick. Because the first two picks, they can go quarterback. If Houston didn't want to go quarterback, I don't know why they wouldn't. But they don't have to. Will Anderson and Carter and a bunch of other super talented defenders are there. What is Arizona? They should trade the pick, right? That's probably the logical move. They're not going to go get a quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're gonna want to trade, but I don't know if they'll find a partner. I guess it's a good spot to move up, especially if Houston takes Will Levis and you have someone who is in love with Stroud or Richardson. But Arizona's probably going to want more than a team's willing to pay to move up to that. And I think they will. My predictions are going to take Tyree Wilson, who's the defensive end from Texas Tech, which is a little bit of a surprise thing. But that's another guy who's been moving up, gathering steam as a top pick.
If you can get 2 first-round picks for that pick, you should trade it every time. It's always proven to be value to get more picks in the top. Like, it's always proven to be value to do it every single time. Like the Dolphins had a top 5 pick, and we used it on that defensive end from Oregon. I don't even remember
Jordan.
Yeah.
Didn't he play like 3 games?
No, he didn't play 3 games.
I'd rather have Pat White again.
Yeah, so that we did that, and I think we had an offer for like the 15th pick in that draft and a first round in the next draft, and we turned it down. Like, yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been nice. Instead, we took Deion Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, the thought is like there's drop off at some point, and it's not always at the end of a round, right? It's typically after 10 guys or 15 guys. There's like a significant drop in talent, and so the goal to like move up is to like you're giving up a little bit of your picks, your stash to try and get the whatever's left of that top tier of talent. But
I kind of don't
it's
really believe
always,
that there's like this significant drop off. I kind of don't believe it. I think that there's like, I think that there's these like buckets where like there's the same amount of talent in like the first round as there is the fourth round. It's just that like it's easier to find the guy in the first round that's more likely to be there. There's still a guy in every single round. It's just it's easier to find him because there's undrafted free agents that
yeah.
come out and are awesome. It's just a matter of like finding the guy, putting him in the right situation to succeed, getting him in the right mindset.
Yeah, I think landing a spot is much more indicative of someone's success than like draft spot.
It's why a lot of the coaches that have more success, like Bill Belichick, was always like asking guys, "Hey, so do you like playing football?" And he's like looking at whether or not they wanted to work hard, whether it was like
Yeah.
work ethic and mindset more than it was like what you would call like
But
talent level. Like
I
where the
guess what I'm
Dolphins were
saying,
drafting Deion Jordan because he had freak athletic ability, he was drafting Julian Edelman.
I firmly believe if like the Browns had drafted Tom Brady, that no one would have ever heard of Tom Brady.
Agreed.
It's being in the right spot
and getting the
thrive.
leash to suck for a little bit. And he didn't really suck, even in the Bledsoe replacement.
Yeah.
He was good, but having that freedom to learn a little bit on the job, I think makes a big difference.
I think he did exactly what he was asked to do that year, which was not turn the ball over. They gave him a lot of safe throws. They ran like, and he was really good. Another thing is that Tom Brady wasn't really good at everything early in his career, but he was really good at like two things: screen passes and throwing the ball over the middle of the tight ends. And that's what Bill Belichick kept doing for him, is throw a lot of screen passes, throw the ball over the middle of the tight ends.
But I mean, there are teams that cater their offense to a player's talent, and there are teams that say, this is what we need you to do, and we're not going to change what we do. You know what I mean? So
there's also general managers that are like, all right, well, I have this quarterback that can only throw screen passes over to tight ends over the middle and screen passes. So I'm going to get a giant running back that he can hand it to but can't catch screen passes, and I'm going to get a wide receiver that can only go deep on the outside, a possession receiver on the outside, and because that's what's available to me. And I'm going to force him to make these other throws. So it's also
nice when the GM is also the head coach and he knows what quarterback needs.
Catering your personnel
also
around
getting the players. Yeah,
that's kind of getting off track. But yeah, so he was really good at catering his personnel to a system, and also he changes the system for the stuff too. Like when he was putting Cam Newton out there, it didn't work very well. But Cam Newton was a little bit washed at that point. But he was running a different offense for him than he was for Mac Jones.
So. Let me run through. I've got a bunch of different picks that I think I like that I just want to run through here. If you guys have anything to chime in with, feel free to. But these are some picks. I was looking earlier today at some of the odds because Bovada finally put out more than just like what position will be drafted first. Bullshit. So for first round selections, these are guys that are going to go in the first round. Where's their value? I really think Hendon Hooker is going to actually get drafted in the first round.
I think so too. So everything I've heard is that Tennessee really likes him. Whatever the fuck that means. At the 11th pick, that means there's been a great run at quarterbacks, and they know the writing's on the wall for Malik Willis.
Yeah, Detroit really likes him. They're at 18. I don't know if they would take him there. I think they probably want him to fall, but he's minus 140 to go in the first round now. So I like that.
Taking Hendon Hooker at 11 doesn't mean the writing's on the wall for Malik Willis, but it just means that they're not sold on him yet. It doesn't mean that like they're.
I mean, that's an awful high pick to just like create a quarterback competition, But yeah, I don't mind ditching a guy after a year if he's not it.
Well, Malik Willis is a more athletic runner, so even if he was the one that they believe in, that style of play, you would want to have two guys that do it.
Yeah. So a few guys that I don't think these guys are going to go in the first, but there's a good enough chance that I think there's value here. One is Keon White. He's at plus 110. He's going to be like a late first, early second round guy. BJ Ojolari is plus 300 to go in the first. He's probably more of like a high second round guy. But there's always a random couple guys at the end of the first round that people aren't mocking in the first. And then another one is Miami's Tyreek Stevenson plus 600 to go in the first. That would have to require probably a big run on corners. But he's got the size that I think teams fall in love with. So a plus 600 bet's not going to hit very often, but I think there's a good value on that one. I've got some top 10 picks that I like. Nolan Smith plus 130. I think he's going in or very near the top 10.
I just got to say one thing before we move on from this, Al. You're dreaming if Tyreek Stevenson. You think Tyreek Stevenson's going in the first round? Miami's not getting a first round pick, especially one of our corners that got burned by. I can't even remember the name of the school that beat us.
Oh, Middle Tennessee State. Yeah.
Middle Tennessee.
Those sons of a bitches. Yeah, I mean,
if he can't play man against the guys on Middle, if he can't play man against the guys on Middle Tennessee State, he's not going in the first round. It's
also plus 600, Danny. I mean,
okay,
that's not very likely to happen, but I think it's more likely to happen than 600, 6 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe him to be in a second round pick, then
he's probably like corner 6 on some teams' boards, and there's probably going to be 4 or 5 corners going in the first. So all it takes is a couple, a team here or there.
I mean, he's good, man. He's good. He's an athlete, but he's also at times not good. I think that was more coaching than player.
It's the size thing. It's just he's got the prototype build for like a shutdown corner. So if someone wants to take that risk, we could make money. Top 10 picks: Nolan Smith plus 130, Lucas Van Ness plus 250. Miles Murphy plus 1,000. That's 10 to 1. I think there's a good chance all 3 of those guys go just after 10, which is why the odds are where they are. But I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of them goes in the top 10.
Yeah, it's probably worth the risk. I like Lucas Van Ness a lot. People always like those big white DNs, especially Iowa DNs. If anything, they know that defense has been stout. So I think it's going to – and same thing with Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy's Clemson, right? And everyone knows how stout defense can be there, and he's great. He's really good.
I mean, who's that guy the Raiders took? Cleveland Farrell?
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago or whatever it was?
That hasn't worked out.
Out of nowhere? Yeah. So someone can do that.
I'm kind of surprised there's not more talk about Hendon Hooker and going in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean that's another one that's 2,500 plus 2,500. So
it seems like it seems like somebody could fall in love with him in an interview and just decide, all right, we're going to do this.
Put 0.2 units on it and see if there is a run at quarterbacks. And we can go back to that in a second because I want to ask you guys a question after these bets. But I could see a run at quarterbacks and someone's going to come back. Heck, Hooker has to be the 5th best option, right? Of the available quarterbacks out there.
I mean,
it's just because he's older. It's because he's older. That's got to be why they're not seeing him, and they think he's
in the ACL.
In the ACL injury, that was fresh, right? Everyone saw that.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's fresh. That's true.
Yeah,
it happened late in the season.
I also think the way these rookie contracts are structured, like no one really cares if the guy's 25 and not 20, because you're paying them essentially a 5-year contract. And whether he plays or not, or
the value is in that contract. The value is in that 5-year contract.
How old he is at the end of that contract doesn't matter. That's going to, impact contract number 2.
Exactly, Al.
So the expected first O lineman to be taken is Paris Johnson from Ohio State, but there's a lot of buzz on Peter Skoronsky, who's from Northwestern. I also think he's a good fit for the Bears. And I'm not sure anyone's going to be taking Paris Johnson before the Bears pick. He's plus 145. I really like that pick, actually. That might be my favorite one I've listed so far. I think there's a very good chance he's the first O-lineman taken. I also think first cornerback taken, Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
It's essentially a 2-horse race for the top corner, right? So 1A and 1B. Devin Witherspoon is the favorite, and then Christian Gonzalez is behind him. But depending on how the board falls, I think there are teams that prefer Gonzalez to Witherspoon. Along the same line, Witherspoon to be the second corner taken is plus 200. So essentially, you've got a coin flip where you're getting plus money on both of those. So I maybe wouldn't necessarily. I guess, does it make sense to play both of those or only play one?
So the only thing I'm scared of with either of those picks is the name value of Joey Porter Jr. Right? People have seen Joey Porter Jr. play at Penn State a lot. They know the family name, and he's really freaking good. So that would be
some NFL coaches. I don't think do all the research. They just know that Joey Porter Jr. played at Penn. It's like there's every now and then there's one of those picks that you're just like, huh?
I would play both of those picks, though, because they're early enrollees. They played great at the Combine. Christian Gonzalez is good. Devin Witherspoon, hate Illinois and their football team. Everyone knows this. We always talk bad about him, but he's good. He's really freaking good. So,
I would play the Gonzalez one for sure. I think he's the best corner, and I think most people would probably be on that one. That's why he has the lower odds,
Yeah. I just think there's a big enough drop-off in talent between after those two guys to where those are going to be your CB1, CB2. It's just a matter of which one goes first. So,
I like that idea to play them both, but I would play just Gonzalez. I think he goes first.
Yeah. I've got some draft position over-unders that I like also. Hendon Hooker under 31.5. So essentially being a first-round pick is minus 105.
Yeah.
So, I know I led this off saying Hendon Hooker minus 140 to go in the first round, but it makes more sense to take Hendon Hooker under 31.5 at minus 105, right? So that would be the bet to make there. Lucas Van Ness.
That's a great bet. That's a great bet.
Yeah. Lucas Van Ness under 12.5 is plus 165. I really like that. I think that's including that 11, 12 spot where if he doesn't go in the top 10, still pretty comfortable fitting into that range.
That feels like one of those where if he doesn't go in the top 10, somebody's going to try and trade into that 11 or 12 spot because they feel like they're getting a steal.
Quick.
Yeah. Miles Murphy under 18.5 is minus 105, and then Nolan Smith under 10.5 plus 140. So I mean, I wouldn't necessarily play all of these three, and then also those top 10 pick bets. I'd probably pick and choose, or whichever one you like more. Basically, those are just three guys I think are going to go higher than some mock drafts show, and I think there's good value when you're getting.
Well, they're premium positions, right? All we've done is highlight the premium positions. It's going to depend on the quarterback run, because after that, you've said Miles Murphy, Van Ness, and Nolan Smith. Those are all three edges, right? They're all playing the end.
Yeah.
There's two premiums, right? Will Anderson and Tyree Wilson are going to disappear, and people are going to be looking for that. And same thing with the cornerback situation, right? Christian Gonzalez and Witherspoon, and then Joey Porter, maybe the third. There's that kid from Maryland, I think, but I don't remember his name. But
Deontay Banks.
So you're talking about premium positions getting drafted early. It's logical. I would follow you on those bets.
And then just a few more, and then we can move on. But I like the Raiders to draft Jalen Carter at 7. I think he's falling, and I think so. Here's an interesting scenario: is I think it's possible that Detroit gets on the board at 6 and have both Will Anderson and Jalen Carter available, and I think it's also possible that they pass on both of them. These are basically the two guys that were thought to be picks 1 and 2 all off season until just lately. But I don't think they like Jalen Carter. I don't think they like his personality. I don't know if
he doesn't have sharp enough teeth for the ankle biting.
Yeah. And then I also just don't think they're as impressed with Will Anderson's tape as a lot of fans
I've heard that a lot lately. It seemed like Will Anderson's tape didn't pop as much this year. Maybe because he was being double covered. He's been the prohibitive number one.
Yeah, he's just a guy. He's a guy that does his job and can make plays, but they're not like, to me at least. I mean, I didn't watch all of his games, but like the plays I've seen that people highlight, I'm like, it's a good play, but it's not like something you don't expect a guy to make. You know what I mean? I don't know.
What's the dude from
but
Alabama
I
that won the
also think
Heisman
it's
a couple years
possible.
ago? He plays for Philadelphia now.
Jalen Hurts.
No, the receiver.
Devonta Smith.
Devonta Smith, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
his highlight tape didn't always look, because he's kind of slow. His highlight tape didn't always look amazing the way that like even somebody like Teddy Ginn would. But
I thought you said Ginwood. I was like, Ginwood, but he's a
Teddy Ginn's highlight tape, because he
Ted-
wasn't always
Teddy
like running away
Ginn
from
would-
people.
yeah,
He didn't have
okay.
like the quickest moves, but he was always like workhorse. He did have some highlight reel catches though, because he had really good hands, and he also made a lot of like they schemed him wide open a lot, so he was always just like catching wide open deep bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my point is, it sounds like I'm shitting on Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. I just think with Detroit specifically, I don't know if they're perfect fits. I do think they would still heavily consider Will Anderson at 6 if he's available there. But I think it's really likely that he is available at 6, whereas, even a week ago, it seemed like an impossibility. I have 4 quarterbacks going in the top 5. Just in different orders. And I have Tyree Wilson as the top non-quarterback going. And then Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are coming off the board after that. But the last couple picks, total DBs in the first round, I like under 5.5 plus 145. We basically mentioned all the corners that are supposed to go. And
is there a safety?
Safety. There is one safety, Brian Branch, who is mocked to be a first rounder. There's talk of a couple corners or a couple safeties moving up boards, but I don't know if they're necessarily first rounders. And so I feel comfortable with like under 5.5. That feels good. And then total O linemen taken in the first round, also under 5.5. That was at plus.
That feels dangerous as shit.
Yeah, but there's not that many O linemen.
I get it. I know it's not a premium year, but
it's Paris Johnson, it's Peter Skoronski, it's Broderick Jones, and then after that there are a couple guards.
Somebody's taking a center, man.
Somebody's
taking a center.
Like,
Dolphins are gonna pop up and find a Pouncey brother.
But you have 2. You can have 2 of those guys go and still have a decent shot at plus 285 of that bet hitting.
All right.
I feel like 5 are gonna go, and it's like maybe there'll be a 6.
It's worth the juice. Plus 285 is good, not the juice.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. At plus 285, if you think there's only 3 guarantees and then there's like 3 iffies, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, like Darnell Wright is a guard. He's going to go. So that's 4 O linemen. So you can have another one go. Still have a coin flip shot basically. Watch is going to be like
it's going to be a run on O lineman and all the quarterbacks fall out.
And backup corners. Joey Porter Jr. goes first.
Yeah.
Those
those are all the bets I kind of like.
I do want to pose a hypothetical. Actually, I kind of want to make it a chuggy bet as far as this. Seattle has the number 5 pick. Let's play a game. How much does Seattle believe in Geno Smith? Because there will be a quarterback that will be available likely to them unless someone makes a dramatic move from the Arizona position. And it's probably going to be Anthony Richardson. So do you think that Seattle believes in Geno Smith enough to not get a quarterback?
No.
I do.
I have them taking Anthony Richardson. I think that's a great landing spot because if you believe in him, right? Because he's going to need at least a year, if not probably a couple, to really adjust. I think because he's got all the intangibles, right? Like or the tangibles, I guess. The arm strength and the speed and the jumping and all the things that like make a guy drool, right? But his decision making is shit. And I think if
his
Geno
throwing accuracy is shit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not good. People are falling in love with all.
They want him to play the position where your job is to throw the ball, and he's not good at throwing the ball.
But look how fast he runs. But look how high he jumps.
He is fast. I can't argue.
But look how far he can throw.
He can throw it far. And hopefully he gets it over all the safeties every time he misses everybody.
Yes.
I think it'll be interesting. So you want to say that they draft a quarterback? I'll give Danny no quarterback drafted. Even if they trade down, Danny wins that bet. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sure.
All right.
I do think that part of it really makes that more fair. I think they're just as likely to trade out of that spot as they are.
That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a vote of confidence for Geno Smith. Unless
I think they
someone
trade
gets
out of that
something-
spot and then they take Hooker late.
That's not, I think Hooker is going to need a year in order to get his leg right. Also, to the
No, Hooker's ready to play now, man. I'm telling you.
Some other positions I think are really interesting. If Seattle passes on Geno Smith, does Detroit look? I'm sorry. If Seattle passes on AR-15, does Detroit look at Anthony Richardson? What's your long-term projection for Jared Goff?
Yeah, so the talk with the Lions and drafting a quarterback is that they definitely plan on drafting one, but it seems unlikely to happen in the first round. I think the ideal situation for Detroit is Hendon Hooker makes it to pick 45 or wherever they pick next, and they would get him there. But I think they like some of the lower prospects, your Aiden O'Connell, your Jake Hayner, guys like that I think, because they don't really have a legitimate backup quarterback. I don't think they necessarily want to ride with Goff, but I think they want to improve that quarterback 2 spot. So I think they'll draft a quarterback. But if someone like Anthony Richardson fell in their lap at 6, I think that also would mean that someone else is still available that they would rather have over him, and that they would probably try to move back a spot or 2. I don't know what they'll do if that.
I honestly think that all of the news about the quarterbacks going 1, 2, and 3 is people lying because they want to and they're going to end up taking the other 2 guys.
Tim Anderson, not Tim.
Carter and Anderson.
Yeah, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter.
I think those 2 guys are going. Maybe not 1 and 2, but they'll be gone by 4.
I do think 11 will be an interesting spot with Tennessee. I do think they're going to look at a quarterback. What do you think Green Bay? How much do you think Green Bay believes in Love? If
they're getting him a wide receiver for sure. That's my prediction. That's where Smith and Jigba lands.
That's
because, well, one, because they need a receiver, but also because they just want to say, "Hey, fuck you, Aaron Rodgers." We never drafted a single wide receiver or tight end the whole time.
I also think
you,
Green Bay believes the smell of their own shit, and they think that they just found another Aaron Rodgers and made him sit behind Brett Favre for a couple of years.
Oh, every Packers employee and fan, like, they're convinced they've hit it 3 in a row. That Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, they're all the same.
They're wrong.
And yes, very much so.
Like, Jordan Love may be Ryan Tannehill. That would be great if he's Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, that's like his ceiling, right?
I'm saying that if Jordan Love is Ryan Tannehill, then they've hit it 3 in a row, right?
Yeah,
that's a decent ceiling.
But I don't think
they think that they found another Hall of Famer. They think they found the best quarterback. Their guy's going to retire with all the records again.
Yes, and then they're going to trade him to the Jets in 19 years.
The cycle continues. I think Tampa Bay at 19 is a really interesting spot. I don't know what they're going to be doing this year. I also kind of like, if Hooker's around, watch out for Minnesota. Watch out for Minnesota. Kirky is getting a little bit old. I know.
Getting a little long in the tooth.
He's been mocked to Minnesota by a lot of people lately.
I think Kirk's got another contract in him with Minnesota, though. He's playing pretty well.
He is. He is white bread, right? There's nothing wrong with white bread. Do you want ciabatta or brioche every once in a while? Sure. But white bread hits all the time. It's fine. It's a fine option. And
I hate white bread, personally. I go whole wheat every time.
You hate white bread? No,
dude, I don't like flour tortillas either. They don't taste like anything.
I got nothing.
Corn tortillas, whole wheat bread.
I can't.
Corn tortilla. You eat corn tortillas with just like American ass tacos, like ground beef with the seasoning.
So I learned to make I heat them up and I put cheese on. I melt the cheese on the tortilla when I make the Mexican street tacos, And I do that for Gringo tacos also now because it's so much better. And I make them all individually in a pan.
You like just discovered melting cheese on a tortilla?
No, fuck you. Yeah, so basically like a quesadilla, but I don't like put butter on the bottom. It's just like a dry tortilla.
You should put butter on the bottom. That shit is awesome.
Not with a corn. It kind of makes it's not as
You
good with
should.
a corn tortilla. It works great with a flour
Because
tortilla.
corn tortilla.
Literally nothing is worse with butter on it, Danny.
So it the corn tortilla like crisps up too much, and it's not what I want when I'm doing a taco.
Those are the most interesting picks to me. Yeah, I got nothing else on the draft.
Yeah, I think you got a good eye. I think Tampa. I think the Saints also are. I mean, that's later in the round, but it's kind of hard to pinpoint where they're going to go with that spot. You know, a lot of these seem to have good, and they align well with both like team needs and best value. But Tampa, New Orleans, even Cincinnati are like, I'm not really sure where they want to go.
They need linemen.
You know?
If Cincinnati doesn't get him a lineman, doesn't get Joe a lineman, for the love of God, protect your boy. Protect him. Don't let him die anymore.
Oh. Where do you guys think Bijan Robinson goes?
Dallas Cowboys. It just sounds like a Dallas Cowboys pick.
It
I don't
does.
think they need
It feels
him.
like him.
But
I went out on a limb. I said the Commanders.
actually, I'll say Detroit at number 18. Now that I feel like that's a good spot for him.
Yeah,
Or Pittsburgh at 17 too. And then actually they have Najee Harris. They don't really need him. Detroit. I don't know. Is Jamal Williams? What is you want to go transition here? I'll let you finish your thought, then we can transition to the next step.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because we're talking that like middle round teams. In my sort of prediction, I tried to like mock out the first round. I had a fun one, Joey Porter Jr. landing in Pittsburgh. I thought it was fun.
That's a
All right, I got a fun question. Which of our schools, Illinois, FSU, or Miami, gets the most players picked?
The most or the highest? I guess the highest is going to be.
Yeah, Illinois is definitely getting the highest. But who's going to get the most?
only getting one player drafted, and it's going to be late. It's going to be Jamie Robinson. And
we're definitely going to have one. We might get two.
Matt, don't you guys have like a D end who's going to get drafted too?
Verse came back.
Yeah, FSU spent all their NIL on their own players.
Hell yeah, we did, baby. We're going to save that for the future. But we're going straight to number 8 this year. Just low enough to not get in the playoffs.
Miami lost all their NIL money because Reese's
life wallet stock is down.
Life wallet tanked. So you know, like Tyler Van Dyke's going to go to Alabama.
No, they re-upped him. They got him.
They
gave him a nice NIL.
Thank God. So he can come play for like trash at Miami for Mario Cristobal's.
Yeah, I don't know who else will get. There's got to be a receiver that Miami has that might get drafted.
A receiver?
I don't know.
Question for you.
No, our only good receiver, I think, had to come back. What's his face? Starts with an R. Rambo?
It's Restrepo.
There you go.
Restrepo. I don't know. I knew
it was going to go in the first.
So here's a question. If Caleb from USC or Drake from UNC was available this year, would any quarterback get drafted above either one of those?
I don't know that Caleb Williams is what the NFL wants in a quarterback.
I think you're wrong. You mean an accurate passer?
Know. I guess I don't know if either of them would be above Bryce Young.
Okay.
Not in their current versions.
You don't think either of them would be over like a 5'10"?
I think when Drake May is going pro, at that point he would be like the highest.
Those two next year are going to be 1 and 2 with a bullet. Depending, I mean, this could be like a Barkley situation at USC in 2008 or 2010 where he stayed a year too long and fell out of the draft because people realized he had flaws. But I think those two are pretty safe to put at the number 1 and 2 spot. And I think they would probably be number 1 and 2 this year if they were eligible.
Yeah.
Barkley stayed. Was it that he realized he had flaws, or he stayed to a better quarterback class?
He could have, but the league played him out. I mean, he's still in Buffalo, I think. I think he's still kicking around the league, so it's not that bad. But he's just
he's a good quarterback. I think that he could have come out in a really weak quarterback.
I mean, he's a good quarterback in that, like, he was good enough to make an NFL roster, but he's not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Anyone would want.
He could be a backup quarterback in the NFL for 12 years, Al. That's what I mean by a good quarterback. Like,
I think Chase Daniel is better.
Okay, so also a backup quarterback in the NFL for 12 years. Like, what's your argument here?
No, he's not as good as what you said he is.
Okay, fine.
All right, fair enough.
He's with the Bills. He plays for the Bills still, by the way, Matt Barkley.
So to circle back to the Bijan Robinson combo, and Matt, you were going to ask about Detroit Lions and their running backs and where Bijan would fit into that. So they have DeAndre Swift, and then they did not re-sign Jamal Williams. They added David Montgomery, and so that's their 1-2 punch right now. But I don't think that would prevent them from drafting Bijan. I just don't know how good of a gambler he is.
Yeah, obviously. So he may be too good of a gambler. I think the problem in Detroit is there's such bad gamblers they get caught, right? I forgot.
It's not. They're gambling legally, but it's where they're gambling that is wrong.
That's a problem.
If you do it on this side of the door, it's okay. If you do it on this side of the door, you get suspended.
Does the NFL have a gambling problem with and not in the problem with everyone gambling? America gambles. Everybody. PSA. America loves gambling. That's why we exist. That's why this whole fucking shenanigan happens. But
hell yeah.
I want to correct myself here. He actually left a strong quarterback draft with Andrew Luck and RG3, where he would not have and stayed where he was still the fourth quarterback taken, but in the fourth round. And the first one was EJ Manuel was the only one in the first round. Second round was Geno Smith. Yeah, he actually was smart to stay a year, but just nobody wanted the quarterback anymore because they were like Ryan Tannehill went 8th. There was a lot of good quarterbacks, and we didn't even want him. Was the one that who was the quarterback we wanted instead of Ryan Tannehill? It was
Brady Quinn? No,
that was instead of that was
Geno Smith.
Yeah, that was instead of Ted Ginn.
Ted Ginn.
I don't know. The Dolphins are so bad at drafting.
Whatever, they were right on that one. Was it Brandon Whedon, Brock Osweiler, Russell Wilson? That's who I wanted.
I'll give some backstory to the Detroit thing.
So they had personnel, like non-player personnel, get fired for gambling, and for those people, they're not allowed to gamble. Period. For players, there's an exception. You are allowed to gamble on non-NFL or non-football or non-NFL. It's a little confusing. But you can gamble on other sports, but you can't do it in team facilities or anything that's team related. So that includes team plane, team hotel. And so it sounds like, so there were 4 players who got in trouble for this. 2 of them were betting on NFL games, and they were released or suspended indefinitely and then subsequently released by the team. 2 of them were betting on non-NFL games, which they are free to do, but they did so either from the team facilities or
they use team Wi-Fi.
Or something. And so they have 6-game suspensions, and that includes Jameson Williams, who is their number 1 pick last year.
Who looked good at the end of the year when he was healthy.
Second first rounder last year. Yeah. And so I don't know. There's been some fans are kind of giving him shit because of just little stupid stuff. He didn't seem excited when he got drafted by the Lions, and then I don't know, just little stupid shit. They're I don't know if he's really in it. And then this happened. And it's okay, well, this was kind of a stupid mistake that you make, but it's kind of little stupid things that are building up that don't really make a good case for him. But hopefully, as a Lions fan, I don't want to sound like biased and be like, this is a dumb rule. But it sure seems arbitrary at the least, right?
I agree. And you're getting lost in the semantics of it. Like, it's okay to gamble, just make sure you're not using the company Wi-Fi, which in their defense,
when you run out of the tunnel onto the field under a MGM
and they're
banner.
How am I supposed to know if I'm connected to the random Xfinity Xfinity or AT&T Wi-Fi around the world, or if I popped into the company Wi-Fi for a second? Like, come on.
In their defense,
Yeah.
if you were in your office gambling on their Wi-Fi, it would probably, or on their work computer, they'd probably have a problem with that as well. But
yeah, who does that?
I disconnect from company Wi-Fi every time I start placing bets.
Because you're a smart man. You're a smart man. You're not a Detroit Lions player, that's for sure. It just does seem like semantic, right? It's like, oh, well, you can gamble, but you use the wrong login. It's like, look, sports gambling is going to become like it's everywhere in America right now. And it's going to be a problem because imagine, let's play a hypothetical. Last year, Tom Brady does the same thing. Do you think he's suspended for 6 games?
My gut reaction is yes, but then also I think it's also one of those things where the NFL could say, "Oh, we didn't see this."
Yeah. He's suspended now.
You know.
You're
yeah, because also, how did the league find out about this? I find out where someone placed the bet from.
So my understanding is the league partners and the gambling sites have a really good relationship, and right, it's mutually beneficial. The ratings are up because gambling's become more legalized because people are watching games till the end, so there's a lot more commercial revenue. At the same time, in order for that relationship to continue and you to become the official gambling partner of the NFL, there is like an open door policy to check the books. And if they want to do some research, DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever legal website is going to participate in that relationship because they don't want to screw over the NFL and not be able to bet the games anymore. Or put the games up.
Basically, part of their partnership is let us check up on our players.
Exactly.
So I have 2 theories. One, if that were the case, I feel like this would be a much more sweeping thing across the league, and it wouldn't just be the Detroit Lions and one random Commanders player.
It does seem dumb.
It seems like that what happened in Detroit, as dumb as it is based on the rules, I'm sure is happening in at least 30 of 32 locker rooms,
I don't disagree with that, Al, but I also know that one person shows another person how to log on to a site, and then another person shows another person how to log on to a site. So it can happen. If they're checking everybody fairly regularly, it kind of happens with friend groups. So if one idiot on the Lions is dumb enough to log on to the website and bet on NFL games, then another idiot is going to be dumb enough to do it as well.
I've got a really fun conspiracy theory on how I think Detroit got caught here.
I also don't want to call these guys idiots because it could have just been a dumb mistake, and I don't want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to get their feelings hurt.
I don't think anybody's going to listen.
Yeah,
listen.
Do you want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Sure.
I bet because the Lions were on Hard Knocks this past year. I wonder if those cameras caught a little more of someone's phone than they should have, and it sent up like a little red flag league office wise, because I'm sure the NFL gets a lot more footage than what we actually see on Hard Knocks, so they have to edit it down and they have to approve it and all of that. And I wonder if like in the background they're like, oh shit, is that person on DraftKings or some shit? And then like, oh, let me look into this. And then like they did a little deep dive and they're like, oh, let me request this information. And all of a sudden they're like chasing rabbits down the hole,
I bet you are absolutely right. That is a really
right.
So, and I bet it wasn't even like the league office got the footage. I bet one of the producers caught him and was like, "Hey, I don't want to like be a rat here, but like I want to be able to keep getting this. Basically, I want to be able to keep getting this access. So, and I want access to the best teams, right? So if I want to be able to get into the Chiefs next year, maybe I want them to know that I will work with Roger Goodell to give him whatever information. I want him to know that I'm on his side,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's lots of ways you could look at it, but I do think that makes the most sense.
It really does. So, like, the guys that had the access caught something on camera. That makes the most sense of why it's the Lions.
Yeah, Matt, my conspiracy theory was that the NFL cameras picked up something during Hard Knocks filming, and that triggered the investigation.
For sure. That makes a ton of sense why it's only one organization. And I think you're going to see this a lot coming up. I think you're going to see player suspension.
Was the no-name guy from the Redskins always with the Redskins, or did he like come through one of your practice facility camps or whatever?
Yeah, I didn't recognize it as a name who played for the Lions, but it's like someone who's sort of well known, right? Like who was it?
Because if he had like tried out or whatever, did like a workout for the Lions.
Shaka Tony, defensive end. Yeah, no, he's never been.
Okay.
No, I don't know, but he could be friends with one of the guys who did.
Yeah.
You know, but that's my theory, and I think I like it. So
makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, what's the next thing you guys want to tackle? You guys want to talk? Here's a good segue. Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Jets.
Yeah. All right.
So my question is this, right? Last time a quarterback got traded from the Packers to the Jets, it was Brett Favre, right? So how long until Aaron Rodgers sends a dick pic to a reporter? Like 6 months, 9 months?
Well,
somebody's going to get famous off of this, right?
For sure. That poor girl had such a terrible, like, God bless her, but she got like over-sexualized by Brent Musburger at a Florida State game and then got a dick pic from Brett Favre. It's a weird rise to fortune. It's a country we live in.
But isn't she like a famous sports reporter now?
I think so, Jen Sturger. But good, I guess. I don't know. I don't, as a Dolphins fan, I have a biased opinion here. I think it'll be fine in New York. I think they're going to be a pretty good team, considering that they have a lot of talent on that team. And they don't have. Yeah, I think they make the playoffs.
Okay. I mean, I think if they make the playoffs, it's like the last wild card spot. Like, I don't think they're winning the division. I don't think they're finishing second in the division. So they've got to basically beat out the Chargers in the West and the Ravens in the North. They got to beat out one of those.
Yeah. I mean, the East is tough too. Like I said, the Dolphins have been trying to get more competitive, especially as an offensive team. Now, the defense may have taken a step back, or I don't know necessarily what the run will be there. The AFC East is going to be fun to watch. That's for sure, right? Even the Pats, all four teams, they have storylines around them, even if they're not particularly good. So it's going to be a fun division to watch all year. But
I'm firmly in the camp that Aaron Rodgers is washed. He is no longer good. That wasn't just no longer caring about football and his place in Green Bay and him just wanting out. I think he's just old and not as good anymore. And he's going to be better than Zach Wilson. He's going to give you he's going to be better than Mike White. But I'm also not convinced the Jets are going to take a step forward. It's like everyone always assumes this team was better than they were last year. So next year they're going to be better than they were this year. But that's not how it works. You step forward, you step back. So I think the Jets are very likely to finish within a game of where they finished last year.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers wasn't that bad last year.
He's an average.
It wasn't Aaron Rodgers last year.
But the Jets didn't have
he had a 91 passer rating.
And the Jets
26 touchdowns and 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions isn't average. That's not the average NFL quarterback. Does the average NFL quarterback throw 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions? I don't think so. That's
yeah. He was 7th in TDs and threw the 9th most interceptions.
Sounds like Brett Favre.
Sounds like he's like the 8th or 9th best quarterback still.
It's not too bad.
With a broken hand for a third of the year.
Al, can I ask a realistic question? What part of your opinion is coming from your Lions fandom versus unbiased?
Oh,
also you're liberal.
90 to 10.
Okay. I just want to make sure because you've had a lot of stances on NFC North teams tonight.
I will say though, like the Lions, legit, like they are not a good. They were not a good defense, but they had Aaron Rodgers' number last year, like firmly. Like he threw 3 interceptions to our rookie safety last year.
Yeah, so the interceptions were up. That was what was really concerning. Everything else of his numbers was pretty much the same.
I think it's also like he just didn't seem like he cared.
Well, that may be true.
For a check kind of thing.
Well, that's the interesting part about this trade is the 65% starts, right? He has in order for the Packers to get the most out of this trade, Aaron Rodgers has to take 65% of the snaps.
So what is that, 10 or 11 games? 11?
Yeah, which realistically, if he's engaged, that should not be a problem.
I got to tell you something. There was absolutely no chance that Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing football this year. That whole like I might retire, I might not retire thing. He was going to get paid like $55 million to play football this year. The highest he's ever been paid to play football before this was like $28 million or something. Like
I also think he's kind of a cancer.
The contract was designed for Aaron Rodgers to be paid to play football this year.
Yeah.
Like we're not talking like one coach he didn't get along with. Like he basically chased Mike McCarthy out of town and then tried to do the same with what's his face.
Well, in Aaron's defense, Mike McCarthy's bad. So I understand him getting chased out of town. Like the fact that they only won 1 Super Bowl with him, even at his greatest power, is crazy. Like he should have a couple of rings on. He should have at least more than 1, you know?
Yeah.
Why should they have more than
even
1?
Have 1.
Because he's the best quarterback I've ever watched outside of Tom Brady. Like he's exceptionally good. And they never were
like they've never I mean yes, he's really good, but like look at his yardage numbers, man. They're not that good. He never threw for more than 5,000 yards when that's just like a thing everybody does now.
Are you just playing the game of Aaron Rodgers? You want to really play the game of Aaron Rodgers not being a great quarterback? Is that
he's great. He's great. He has a very good average yards per attempt, but like Aaron Rodgers' whole game is like he just doesn't throw interceptions. He throws the ball away a lot. That's Aaron. That's what Aaron Rodgers brought to the position. He throws. He doesn't throw. He throws the ball where the other
guys
team
throw 30 touchdowns, and like nobody throws only 4 interceptions.
Yeah, but Tom Brady's game is he throws it underneath a lot, right? Like that's a really dumb. That seems like too simple, right? Aaron Rodgers also throws amazing passes majority of the time in tight windows that shouldn't be completed. He's really efficient. He makes very good decisions. So does Tom Brady, right? Like he throws it underneath.
I agree with you. He's very calm under pressure. Those two both have that, which is a very big part of being an elite quarterback. I'm not trying to say that Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback. I just don't think he's like more elite than the other elite quarterbacks. He's not like so much better than all the other really good quarterbacks.
Better than Aaron Rodgers last year.
I thought you were saying as a career. I'm like, I'll listen to this argument.
No.
So like the guys that are coming up right now that everybody thinks are going to be the next batch of really great quarterbacks, like Mahomes is, but even he's thrown more interceptions. But like Herbert, I don't think is ever going to reach the level of Brady and Rodgers. He's more of a Philip Rivers.
A Marino.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, kind of the same.
Yeah,
maybe
I could agree with that.
Maybe I believe in karma. Marino leaves, Philip Rivers comes in. Philip Rivers leaves, Justin Herbert comes in.
The cycle continues. God bless the NFL.
Who replaced Drew Brees then?
Jameis Winston. Who knows this?
It's about to be Bryce Young. Short quarterback. That's good.
It wasn't Kyler Murray. He's not performing right now.
That's what she said.
It's Tua. It's Tua, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's hurt the first few years of his career. He's hurt the first.
Rid of him and he's great.
We're gonna get rid of him, and he's gonna go be awesome for somebody else. Probably New Orleans. Damn it.
So there are a couple things we want to sort of make mention of quick before we dive into some soccer. The A's are moving to Las Vegas. That's baseball. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
It was inevitable, man. So the A's are literally going to get kicked out of Oakland if they don't get their stadium deal done. And this has been going on for like 15 years. And Major League Baseball has basically said you don't get revenue sharing anymore if you don't get a stadium deal done somewhere. And the city of Oakland was like, no, we're not giving you a fucking stadium. Build it yourself. And the city
Yeah.
of Las Vegas was like, hey, we really want a baseball team. We'll give you a stadium if you'll come here. So they're like, okay, we'll do that.
I
Yeah.
feel like David Sampson killed the Oakland A's, and here's why, right? That tax deal he did for the Marlins Stadium is often lauded as one of the worst fleecings of like public funds of all time. That everyone learned, like, that's don't trust your baseball presidents and general managers to care about you because a franchise exists.
Yeah.
And
It's
because
such
of
a
that,
scam. I hate it.
and
The problem is it didn't require the Marlins to stay here. The Marlins can now leave.
no, we could be left with that atrocity in Little Havana.
The lease is
Lovely
over.
ballpark.
It's been 10 years, right? The lease is over.
So sometime around the turn of the century, teams stopped building like century-long stadiums, like the ones that could hold up forever, and started building these ones that are like literally like a 10-year deal. Like it's basically like the housing, like housing. You know, we used to build houses that can last for 2 centuries, and now we build them to fall apart at the end of a mortgage.
So there's a reason for some of that, Al. So the
Well,
wood
yeah,
that we were
it's
cutting
great.
down to build the houses, we started building it with wood that could be replenished faster, and it's not as strong. So like houses that are built from that like those fucking redwoods, those take like hundreds and hundreds of years to grow. And the fucking pine or whatever the or in the 2x4s in my addition aren't gonna last as whatever the fucking beam that went across it when they built it back in the 60s.
There's also a more boring business conversation as far as the consumer, right? Back in the 60s and 70s, people watched sports to watch the game. Now people watch sports to be involved in the experience, but they don't necessarily, the priority isn't anymore watching the game. So they cater all these new stadiums in order to fit the need of the consumer. So the primary consumer, they expect 25% of people who go to a sporting event to watch the game all the way through, essentially. But you need 75% of those people to have the necessary distractions. So these stadiums evolve with the distractions that come with it. In order to get people to go there and not sit on your comfy couch and drink $1 beer or high noon, right? That's super convenient. It's a very short drive from my house to my house, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also convenient when that overlaps with building a $2 billion stadium that actually
No,
only
it's
costs
bullshit.
$750 million, and you're like, oh, where'd the other $1.25 billion go? Whoa, well, you know, it was expensive, and then that just goes into someone's pocket, and then 10 years later they do the same thing, and you get a bunch of shady city politics dealing, giving the build contracts to their buddies, and everyone's making hand over fist under the table. I don't know.
I just
Construction companies can make profits out of it and it not be nefarious. I'm not saying that every stadium deal ever is okay, but like construction companies are allowed to make profits when they build a stadium and it not be nefarious.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it also tends to go to I don't know, I just look at Jacksonville here locally. It's like, oh, it just so happens that the company that won the contract is the brother-in-law of the mayor or some shit. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
the
Moss family's about to
build.
the Moss family's building a stadium for the soccer team that they own right now, and yes, their construction company is doing it, and it's a locally funded stadium from the city of Miami. So.
Buddy, that's nepotism too. There's an element to that. People like to protect their family and make money for their family, and they make.
And that's
money.
why they don't want to. Well, they don't want to. They're going to build something that they want to redo and rebuild in 25 years instead of 100 years because they want to make more money off it next time. They want to do it every 20 years instead of every 100 years.
That's the same reason your iPhone starts to slow down after 2 or 3 years, right? Yeah. It's much more money. You make a lot more money.
iPhone X, baby. iPhone X still running strong.
Yeah.
I mean, how long do you keep that thing plugged in on a daily basis?
I let the battery run all the way out every time and then charge it.
Either way, I hate when medium-sized towns, and saying Oakland is like a small town is sad, but they lost all of their sports. They lost the Raiders, went to Vegas. They lost the Warriors, went to San Francisco. I mean, that's close enough, but it ain't the same, right? Roracle, everyone knows Roracle was like a different experience than the Chase Center in San Francisco. Much more wine and cheese crowd. Then there was a little more blue collar in Oakland. And them losing the A's, look, they can go to Vegas. I'm going to still think they're the Oakland A's because I will say they have a top 5 jersey in sports. I love the Oakland A's jersey. And I associate it with that town. And I like Oakland because of the jersey and the whole like identity. Even that dumb.
Top 5's too high, Matt. Give us your top 5.
I got to put it together, but I'll put it together in pro sports.
5's too high. 5's too high because you can't beat like. I mean, if you're just going, you're doing them because they're classic. And first off,
badass.
They're great, but like they're not better if you're just going classic jerseys than just to go like Penn State football or Cleveland Browns football. Like those are great jerseys.
Cleveland Browns are on the top 5. I'm only going to do pro teams, but I'll fuck with it regular.
Yeah, well, I also think I probably have a unique opinion here. I'm probably like the outlier, but I really don't really care if like a team moves.
Me neither, man.
Like you're saving money on taxes. How many times are you going to not go to the game that you don't already not go to? You know what I mean? Like the game's just happening somewhere else. You're still watching it on TV.
But there's regionalized identity to it. You live in a perfect city for this conversation, considering they always threaten to take the Jags to like London and shit. Yeah. Think about
you also left your city, Al, and still root for the teams from there.
Right.
So you're a lever.
Yeah.
You are the Oakland A's.
You have a passing desire, right? You like Jacksonville. You like the Jags.
Yeah.
But think about like how important it is to the local community, right? And if they start becoming Dolphins fans or Bucks fans or Falcons fan, it won't feel the same.
Every Jags fan is a Dolphins fan, a Bucks fan, a Falcons fan.
Fair enough, but it's cool to have that, especially in towns like Jacksonville. I think sports are really cool. That's what makes Premier League so cool, or like English soccer, right?
Yeah.
It's hyper regionalized. It's like college football, right?
No, you want to know where it's super hyper regionalized. Watch that Wrexham show, man.
Wrexham. Okay, congratulations, Rob McElhaney. You bought a team into the not National League. And
have you watched the show, dude? That community, that's what they have. That is what sports should be. The Marlins felt like that when they first got here. The Dolphins used to feel like that to me, but I think it was just because my dad took me to games and like we had this like community around us. But it's not like that now. When we had the season ticket holders, like they all moved on. And
so soccer and college football really identify that. And look, you guys are Miami fans. It's a different experience because like having a college football team in a big city is a different experience than like that small town of Tallahassee, Gainesville, Athens, Georgia. Like it's such a tight-knit community that everyone's going to the football game. Right. And
I gotta tell you, bud, I don't know if you get the community from college football, even in Tallahassee, that you would get somewhere else. And you only lived there for like 5 years, so you didn't even get it for all that long.
I also think like a college football is a much better parallel to like Premier League than the NFL is. The NFL is
great.
Absolutely. The thing about college football though is like if you can go to basic for Florida State, I know does this. I know that Miami does this. Every city in the USA there's a watch party for the college football game. Every city in the USA, you can go to a Miami watch party.
Of course there is. I'm just saying there's something about that tight-knit community. Soccer has that, right? There's 6 teams in the Premier League that are in London, but the neighborhoods freaking matter. And that's cool, right? Or if you're in Leeds up in Northern England or Newcastle way near Scotland, it's a very different experience. And I know that's no different than the NFL, right? But for that tight-knit community and all the chanting and all that stuff, I love it. I don't know where I was going to. Oh, Jacksonville. Jacksonville being a medium-sized city, not having any other sports, I think there is more of a communal effort.
Jacksonville's got a AAA baseball team that would like to tell you that they have another sport.
Pardon me. I'm not hating on minor league baseball.
What is it? Dollar dogs and $2 beers on Thursdays, Al?
Dollar beers, Thirsty Thursdays. $2 hot dogs were Sunday at least, and I had 2. And we also went to Costco before I went to that game. So I had 3 hot dogs.
you had
a 3-dog Sunday.
$3 Sunday.
But talking about Wrexham, look, I'm happy for it. And look, soccer communities are the best. It's the college football community. Like, it's very communal, and that's what makes the sport so great. And I like it more than I like the NFL or like the bigger leagues because it matters, right? Every game matters, and everyone gets up for it. My only point is everyone is like, hey, you like soccer? What do you think of Wrexham? It's like, I don't care about the Savannah Bananas. Like, it's like the same thing to me. It's more of a television product.
Every inning matters,
It's
Matt.
a TV show, buddy. It's a TV show. Wrexham's a TV show. Paul Rubens is kind of fun to watch when their games are on because I watch the TV show too. But like, they're not that fun to watch because he's like
Paul Rubens.
Isn't that his name? Paul Rubens?
That's Pee Wee Herman.
Oh shit! What's their striker's name?
Paul Mullins.
Mullins. Sorry. Oh, that's great. And they got another guy that can score now too.
No, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the community. I don't care about the American fans at all.
Well, it's hard to get out of the net. That's the hardest league to get out of. National League is the hardest league to get out of because only one team gets the automatic bid.
And if they start climbing their way up to
it's like a huge playoff for the only other bid. It's like a huge playoff for the only other bid.
It's So I'm reading a book called The Miracle of Castel di Sangro. It's about like a Italian soccer team in the 90s that rose from basically like the lowest rank up to Serie B. And so they got promoted like, I think 4 consecutive years in a row. And it basically turns out that it's like the soccer team was like a money laundering operation for like a drug dealer. Or like the mafia, you know? And so it would be nice to see someone like make that kind of consistent rise up the ranks.
That's what Chelsea was for Abramovich.
I am not. Look, I love it. I'm happy for them. The American fans are like, well, you like Wrexham. Like, man, I'm happy for the Welsh folks that are in the town. I mean, that's freaking great. Yeah. And them climbing up to EFL 2, and then next year or a couple of years they get to EFL 1. I'll be just as happy for them. And I'm happy for the players. They get paid now. They're going to get like a livable wage to play soccer instead of like.
So how far do you think the Wrexham could move up the ranks, like move up the football system before the like town of Wrexham like turned to shit? I feel like they can't make the championship. They got to keep it League One or under. Otherwise, there's going to be too many Americans like coming around, like visiting and like ruining the small town.
The TV show's going to ruin the town.
I don't think
if they did well enough.
I don't think that's a bad thing. What do you mean ruin? Like it's going to be too Americanized? I could see that being a problem.
No, we're like the people who've like lived in Wrexham for like generations.
But
like,
how about the business owners?
I think that business owners would like that people are coming and spending money. I think that they would. I think that it's going to end up one of those places where there's 2 prices on every menu.
That's fine. They can have the American price.
Then they should. And
they should. Hell yeah.
Dude, there's definitely an American price when you go to Europe.
It's fine. If you can't read the menu, they give you the extra menu with a couple bucks added on or a couple euros added on there. Like my point is, I'm happy for the town. The American fans are like, hey, Wrexham's great. It's like, let's slow a roll. It's the same. It's this equivalent of everyone talking to me about the Savannah Bananas. I'm like, it's great.
So back before the Euro, I remember I went to Italy with my family. And lira were like you could just they gave you trillions of them, right? You had bills that said like 100 million lira to like buy a cup of coffee, basically. And like I had no idea how much money I was spending.
It was monopoly money.
They could it was monopoly money. They could have told me it was 50 lira. They could have told me it was 500 million lira. I had no idea. So
shit, I went to London and I had like and that's a pretty like comparable whatever it's called
exchange rate
and I went to I think I was in like a museum gift shop and she was like, oh, that'll be $2.50 or whatever, and I like just had a pocket full of change and I just held my hand out. I was like I don't know what any of these are, and she was like ding, ding, ding. Okay, I was like thanks, hope you didn't just take $30.
So in London, they'll do it to Americans the other way. They'll just like give you prices that are the same as the dollar price, but it's in pounds. So like if you're at McDonald's, it'll be like $1 for a cheeseburger, but it's a pound for a cheeseburger, which is like $2.50.
Ooh, they got
We're
you.
back when I was going. I think they're closer now, but
Yeah.
everybody's
It
devalued their
was
currencies.
basically like an equal exchange, like $1 to $1.10 or something.
That's the euro. I think the pound's still higher.
Oh, maybe it is the euro. But
I know that at 12.31 it was $1.06 or $1.05.
Perfect. Glad.
Accounting exchange rates for foreign currency.
Well, now that we're in the UK, you guys want to talk about the big match this weekend? Get into a little bit of Premier League or anything else?
Oh, I thought we were gonna play Al's funny game.
Oh, so
man.
Al, we want to play a game. Al knows all of the UK soccer leagues from the top to the bottom, be it England, Scotland. I don't know if Welsh has.
He basically knows everybody from the National League all the way through the Premier League, all the team names. I mean, I know the obvious ones like Sheffield, right, or Celtic. That's in the Scotland League or whatever. Like the big teams that like compete in the FA Cup. But like Al knows all of them, and we want to play a game that is: did Al make this shit up, or is this a real team?
So, Al, do you need a moment, or do you?
No. Well, the only thing I might need a moment for is to actually think up of like close enough sounding fake ones.
Okay,
but
we'll give you a minute.
Okay.
All right.
So just go back and forth between Matt and me. So that'll be your thing. You think of some fake ones right now while I filibuster for a second.
Well,
and
no.
You'll just go Matt, and then you can say, do you think this one's real? This is the one name, and then say,
you
is
guys,
this real
you
or
guys
fake?
talk. You guys talk Arsenal, Man City, and I'm gonna pee, and then I'll.
This is a giant game for anyone who is not a soccer fan. This is the game of the game. So we have Arsenal.
All Man City needs is a draw, right?
So Arsenal is up 5 points. 5 points, but Man City has 2 games in hand, right? So they can assume Man City's been in exceptional form. They've won the last 5 matches, running away with it. They've won in the other cups as well. All the other cup matches, they haven't lost in a while. Arsenal has been the league leader for the last 30 weeks or 28 weeks. They've been running away with the actual league.
Matt, are you freezing out or am I freezing out?
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. I can hear you now. You're good.
Okay. So they've been the league leader, but the last 3 weeks they've had draws, and they played Southampton last week and had a miracle in order to get back to a draw, down 3-1 with 86 minutes left, and they had to score 2 goals late in order to even like preserve any portion of their lead. Danny, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Man City Arsenal, except like the magnitude of this game and what it means to the league.
Well, I mean, it's a big game, right? It's the 2 best teams, so it means a lot. But I mean, really, I'm expecting a draw. I think that's what Man City's trying to come out with. I think that because they have the 2 games in hand, they're going to try and get a goal early and then park the bus. But I mean, no, that's not really Pep's style to ever park the bus. But that's sort of what I think they're going to do. I think you'll see a more defensive mindset from them, a more possession-focused mindset to try and keep the ball away from Arsenal. And I think that they will be doing their best to not give the ball away in difficult positions. So when Arsenal's press comes at them, when they're trying to have possession, I think you'll see clearances.
Okay. I do want to make a correlation. Since Gabriel Jesus has been back, Arsenal's form has been worse. And I don't necessarily think it's Gabriel Jesus' fault now that he's healthier. But maybe the team had learned something playing 3 up front between Martinelli, Saka, and Nketiah, or anyone else they wanted to pepper up there. And Nketiah was kind of useless up there, but he may have been enough of a distraction to separate everything. I'm fascinated for this game. I know Chelsea's playing at the same time. I'm going to have both screens roaring for this one. But Al, do you have any thoughts on Arsenal Man City before we get rolling into your game?
Yeah, so it sure feels like Arsenal's like a dead man walking, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like Man City is just mid. It's like when you see like you turn on the Discovery Channel and there's like a gazelle mother and its newborn, and they're like grazing, and you're like, oh, look at these beautiful beasts, and then all of a sudden they do like that music shift, and it's like, da-dum, and they show like a cheetah like stalking in the background, and you're like, oh god, no. and then boom, it takes off running, and the chase is on, and you know how it's going to end, right? Like you know immediately how it's going to end, but you're just not there yet. That's how this feels.
Well, and the big part of this is I don't know if Al and I were talking to this previously. Danny, Man City plays the bottom of the table the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. They have 2 games in hand and they're playing trash or not trash, but like bottom of the table the rest of the way. Arsenal has a medium to hard schedule, I think, the rest of the way. But you were talking about Gabriel Jesus being the problem. He's been playing great since they've been back. It's the defense. It's the defense that's been the problem. They've had injuries there, I think.
Saliba has been out, I believe.
Yeah, Saliba's been out. So I think that may be a bigger issue because they're giving up more goals. I mean, they're scoring 2 to 3 goals every game still. They're just giving up 2 to 3 goals. They're drawing. They've drawn their last 3. And Jesus' first game back, they won 4-1. And the game before that, they won 4-1 with Troussard. So I don't think he's been the problem with their form because he's playing striker. He can't stop the goals.
No, that's true. You're right. The defense, Ramsdale hasn't been great either. Last game was freaking puzzling. Ramsdale gave up that first possession. Also, can we, before we go on to play this game, can we just laugh at Tottenham? Just how
yeah.
Way to go, Tottenham. Giving up 6,
Okay.
giving up 3 in 9 minutes. That's special. That's special stuff there.
The only thing that could have made it funnier is if Harry Maguire was passing it to the other team on the back line.
God. He would have. He would have. They did get Harry Maguire to go the other team. One quick Chelsea note. It does look like Chelsea's going to sign Pochettino. I've made it abundantly clear I do not like Pochettino as a coach. He's fine. He is he was the manager at Tottenham last time he was at the Premier League before he went to PSG and underperformed with his super talented roster. So that's all I got there.
It sounds like he's built for Chelsea.
Yeah, just to be
underperforming with a super talented roster.
Yeah, it sounds like he's made for it, but he doesn't hit 11th usually on the table, which is good, right?
He's been at PSG. They don't hit less than 1.
Yeah, but I'm saying even with Tottenham, they won't win the league. They won't win anything meaningful, but they won't.
Tottenham's had some years where they get to play European soccer. So
yeah, kudos, way to go, Tottenham. You get to play European soccer some years.
Dude, I want to play European soccer.
Oh, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, that's not good enough.
No, it's good enough. It's good enough.
All right, you guys ready to try this? I'm gonna.
Let me get a beer. And then
Okay.
I need a beer to be able to play too. Can you want to run solo for a second while I grab a beer too?
Getting beers. Yes. Oh my god. So I'm gonna come up with some really funny fucking names to these guys if I can think of it. I know, so one real name is the Gallifreydine Rovers. I think I'm gonna pull that out.
I'm nervous. I'm super nervous about this game. So
yeah,
if we lose,
I think I need to make up my fake ones here and stash them on the side so I don't have to try and remember what I was coming up with.
I guess we should have probably talked about some more Premier League bets. Crystal Palace is playing really well. There may be something to eyeball there, even at Wolves. Nottingham Forest is going backwards. I know they fought against Liverpool last week. Tottenham Man United is funny. It's just a funny match. Southampton Bournemouth is a big one for both sides.
Rashford's still out. I think he's out for a little while. That injury, I think, was till May. I think it was till May.
West Ham Liverpool is actually a more interesting match than it should be too. West Ham's
had some form, man. Declan Rice has been scoring goals.
That's going to be a fun one. Everton they're playing Newcastle, unfortunately.
Declan Rice and Mason Mount are going to be together in Newcastle next year, and it's going to be beautiful. They're going to have so many players in Newcastle.
They are. They're going to be. Yeah, it's
going to have terrible hair. It's going to have terrible hair in Newcastle, but they're going to be very good.
The team of fuckboy haircuts.
Yeah.
So Newcastle is currently in the Champions League. You want to make the Champions League or not? I guess the 4 teams look like they're pretty locked in here. Tottenham's at 53, 6 points behind both of those. Tottenham's lost the last 2. Aston Villa's playing well too. Aston Villa's climbed.
I'd like to see Aston Villa get in, but I think Newcastle's gonna. I think it's gonna be Newcastle, Arsenal. Or you think Man United's gonna be the one?
I think Newcastle's better than Man United. So I think Newcastle's locked in there. Man United may be the one. I kind of want Aston Villa to jump Tottenham and make Europa. It's just for the petty sake. I mean, I love Arsenal to fall off, but I mean, they're too far up.
If Harry Kane's not playing European soccer, there's a chance somebody might be able to steal him away from there.
Oh, God. Just hopefully he leaves England if it's not Chelsea. But Chelsea's a lovely town. It's not too far from where you currently play. You'd love it. You'd love it, Harry.
We need somebody that can play that position.
So bad. You can just go from North London to West. It'd be beautiful. All right, Al, you got a game for us?
Yeah. Let me just give me like 2 more minutes. Sorry.
So we did have one other note here. Danny, have you seen everything that's going on with Dillon Brooks by any chance? Are you familiar with this situation? The guy from
The troll?
The troll. All right. So is there a worse troll in history, like a less performing troll in American history than Dillon Brooks? I love it. I'm a big LeBron fan, but I love that he's just like fucking with LeBron over and over again. And the punch to the balls the other day was just like a chef's kiss of it.
I haven't seen the video of the punch to the balls. I wasn't watching that game.
LeBron is laying belly first on dick first, balls first onto the wood of the basketball court. And him getting kicked out of the game and not suspended was just money. I don't know if you have anything deeper to add in there.
I love the drama of the NBA playoffs, and I did actually after that. I never saw the video of that, but after that happened, I did watch the next game. Also, John Morant's
awesome.
not a good person. Really fun to watch play basketball. Probably my favorite player to watch play basketball right now, except Jimmy Butler, obviously. Himmy.
Yeah, that game looks like it's pretty close right now. Memphis is up 83-81 at the end of the third. But it's a good series. NBA playoffs the best.
Is it? Yeah. Is that one going to go over? I have the over in that one.
164 so far. I don't know what the number was.
Not looking good for that over, I don't think.
Probably not. No.
What was the number originally?
At the end of the third, so you're looking at...
They've been averaging like 56 points
a quarter.
Or
so you're looking at 120.
216, somewhere around there.
216.
Was that the number?
No, I bet you were in the 220s.
Well,
all right, let's give this a try. Let's see if I can.
Do we need like a game show sound or like?
Bum, bum, ba-na, bum, bum, ba-na.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to give you guys 4 teams, and you have to pick the one the odd man out.
So is it the one team a real team or a fake team?
It may be. It may be either.
The odd man out. Okay.
Yes. If it's a real team, it will stand out in some other way. Meaning it might be from a different league, a different level. So on.
And we're guessing the odd man out. I got it.
Yep. So I'm going to give you 4 teams. You tell me which one is not real and or not, which one's odd man out. All right. Heart of Midlothian, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, and Gaelic Ferrydean.
Matt, are you going first here?
Yeah, I'm going with Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock is the odd man out.
Danny, you want to guess, or we're going to do
just
one?
Do one per. You want me to tell you what I think
Okay.
before? This one counts as Matt's question, though. I think Matt's right with Kilmarnock.
Sure.
I think that sounds right.
You're wrong. So Hearts, Motherwell, and Kilmarnock are all Scottish Premier League teams. Gaelic Ferrydean is one I made up. It's kind of rude. It's actually the Gala Ferrydean Rovers. They're a lower level.
Shit. So 0 points.
Danny, you ready? You feeling
I feel like you're
froggy
making
here?
this very difficult.
I'm excited.
Because Gaelic is definitely a football club that I've seen. So I was like,
yeah, I know. It was a little. I guess I
it was
could have
great.
staggered these.
and the other one you said, I was like, that sounds like a body part. So I'm gonna guess that one, the one that Matt said.
Okay. Danny, your teams are Wickham, Bolton, the Bristol Rovers, and Inisherin.
Bolton is fake because he sings wonderful music.
He does. I'm
That's
going to go with the
wrong.
Rovers, the
Wrong
Bristol
again.
Rovers.
That is
Ah,
also wrong. Those are both Wickham, Bolton, and Bristol Rovers are all League One
All right,
sides.
I don't like this. I don't like this
and
1 out of 4 chance. Can you make it 50-50 and you just give us one thing and we have to know if it's real or fake?
I feel pretty good about
Okay.
the next one. Inisherin, by the way, is just where the Banshees are from. Colin Farrell and so. All right, next set match. We've got Leighton Orient, Northampton, Stevenage, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, Hamilton Tiger Cats are a great Canadian Football League team, so I'm going to go with Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're going to get the Grey Cup this year.
Hey,
I got a
that's
point.
a good one.
I never would have got that.
All right, let's do, I think, one more. By the way, those were all League Two sides, and then Hamilton Tiger Cats were the CFL team. All right, this is Danny's turn now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Woking. That's your first side. Boreham Wood. We've got Dag and Red and Fluminense.
All right, Woking. I feel like you're making fun of me, but that's got to be a thing. Say I'm gonna get Dag and Wood. I feel like I've bet on them before.
Dag and
I
Red.
feel
Boreham Wood. Fluminense and
Fluminense. That can't be a thing.
It is a thing, but it's not. It is the wrong thing. You are correct.
You did it.
The right choice. That's Fluminense is a team in the Brasileirão. That's Brazil's top league, and then the other three sides are in the National League along with Wrexham.
Nice. Okay, that's why I've bet on those.
All right, that was
What
enough.
a great year.
That was fun for me.
Anything else you guys want to cover?
Thank you for humoring. I think that about covers it. Man City's definitely catching Arsenal. I guess
City's winning the league
end it
again.
this
City's winning
way.
the league again. I don't want them to. I'd rather Arsenal have it, as much as that pains me, but City's winning it.
Are you taking Man City or Real Madrid?
Oh, good question.
Or are you taking an Italian side?
I want Napoli to win.
They're out, bud.
They lost?
They're out. It's
I watched
It's
only
a
the
Milan
Chelsea
derby.
game, so I didn't even pay attention to what happened in that one.
We got AC Inter on one side and Man City Real Madrid on the other.
Oh yeah, I did know it was both Milans. Damn it! I don't think either Milan has a chance. I guess I'm rooting for Madrid.
I think I'm rooting for Madrid. God, that's a great game. I don't even know. I haven't looked at the early lines because it doesn't play till May 9th. I think Man City wins.
Real Madrid's a likable team. This particular
It's
one.
crazy. It's crazy to say you root for the most powerful team in like all of soccer, right? Like
sport.
You know, Real Madrid's likable. Usually, people root against the most powerful team.
Honestly, it's the players they put together, and Benzema's like
Benzema.
not the biggest dick.
Yeah.
You know? But
Vinny
Luka
Jr.,
Modric's like a really nice guy.
Awesome.
He's an awesome dude. And
Toni Kroos is great too.
Yeah.
Like their midfielders are awesome.
And they just play such a beautiful brand of soccer.
I'm gonna root for Real, but I don't know. Man City's playing like a different. They've been so good.
Yeah.
In the past 10 games, they've been awesome.
It's fun to bet on Real Madrid to win.
It is
because you get to watch them play and like root for them, and it's fun.
Yeah, all right. Well, I hope everyone had fun listening if you made it this far. We gave you a bunch of NFL draft picks that probably aren't going to hit, but I like them. And we covered Premier League, Champions League, Aaron Rodgers sucks, Wrexham. Yeah, we hit all the spots. That's it.
Go Heat.
Anyone want any parting notes here?
Go HIMMY.
HIMMY. HIMMY.
HIMMY. Good night, Joe. And good night,
Cheers. Bye.
Travis.
Good night, Cactus.
I don't.
I feel like you always say Travis, and it's like
It's fair, yeah.
I think
Good
it's
night, Andy Stewart.
Tucker.
Good night, Andy, since you don't do the podcast anymore.
Yeah. Bye, boys.